take 4 billion years, right, from the origin of life to now, and we have a civilization now, and we've had it. Our species has been around, what, 250,000 years or something? So it's just now, basically. So let's say 4 billion is on the fortunate side. Let's say that it was double that or triple that on the average. Suddenly, that's the age of the universe, right? And that's a third of the age of the universe it took. So how many of those worlds have been stable for 3 or 4 billion years? That's quite a tall order. Actually. It looks like the solar system might be quite unusual. Because the planets got to remain stable orbit. The stars at least our solar system. Jupiter plays a big role.
Takes the asteroids, sucks them in.
So, there's a theory called the Grand Tack theory, which is it's very hard to explain the evolution of our solar system. So when you do computer models of solar systems, you don't tend to get 4 rocky planets close to the sun and 4 big gas giants further away. And one of the current best theories, and I say this because it shows you how lucky we might be, is that Jupiter, they tend to form these big gas giants and migrate inwards towards the star. So in almost all the computer simulations, just because you've got this big gas giant orbiting in all the dust around the star, they tend to drop inwards. And it looks like Jupiter did that. So it looks like it formed and came in almost to where Mars orbits today, and then cleared out the region around it. Maybe the reason Mars is so small. Venus in it. But then Saturn was coming in as well. And in the computer models, the interaction between Jupiter and Saturn stops Jupiter coming in before it gets to the Earth. And they both get dragged out again, and so to where they are today.
Oh wow!
And so that seems to be one of the best theories for the evolution of our solar system. So what are the chances? The chances of that are so minuscule, like tiny. So that's the thing, I think, with rocky planets. In order to get a civilization on them, I think you need quite unusual sources. And that would be a guess. And you need quite unusual stability on the planet for billions of years. And that's why I think we might be quite lucky.
And how does Bode's law work? Bode's law is a method of detecting the mass of a planet. You can accurately detect how much mass and the size of a neighboring planet.
I think, wasn't it just the position of the orbit?
Right, where it is.
Yeah. And it's one thing that is true about our solar system is that if you get the computer simulations, you can't put more planets in. If you try and put more planets in, it becomes unstable very quickly.
So the mass of, like, if you measure Mars, you can accurately depict where the next planet close to is.
It was, that's what was done. Was it 17th century or something? I can't remember. It was a long. Yeah, it was just one of those things where you notice a pattern.
Right.
So it's just a pattern, which is, there's nothing to that really. Other than to say that most simulations of the system, if you put other planets in, they tend to get thrown out by gravitational interactions. So there is a sense in which our solar system has got as much stuff in it as it could have. So the planets are nicely spaced. And you're right, given the mass of them, that depends on how close another planet can be before the interaction goes wrong and it gets thrown out into the intergalactic space or something. Because planets do that. We know that planets get thrown out of solar systems by gravitational interactions. So, it points to the fact that solar systems are not stable over long periods of time. They're not like clockwork things. They're not like Newtonian clockwork and it just goes on forever. They're not like that. They evolve, and planets can shift orbits and change. And we know, if you look at the surface of the moon, for example, it's covered in craters. And that was because they all seem to hit about the same time. And it's about 2.8 billion years ago. And that's called the Late Heavy Bombardment. So we know that if you look at crater erupts on Mars and on the moon, it all seemed to happen in this, not all, but a big peak around that time. And that seems to be correlated with Neptune moving outwards in the solar system and into the hypergravitational state towards causing all sorts of havoc when everything comes into the solar system. So those things happen. But it didn't happen when life was established on the Earth. You
So
know,
it's all extremely old
The
stuff.
enemy holds
that-
two
that
objectives.
Yeah.
these
Get them
shifting
secure.
but how long has the solar system been in this particularly stable situation? that's
losing
in
Charlie.
there?
it's since about
Securing
3.8
Alpha.
billion years ago. So if it had been unstable at any point since then we likely wouldn't be.
Right. Do
The
you
enemy holds all objectives.
possible do you ever
Control
entertain the
Alpha.
idea
Let
that
that
we are
sorry
the only
face for
intelligent life in the known universe?
Shock stick out!
I
This
tend to
intelligent.
I tend to restrict myself to the galaxy.
Right.
So I do think it's possible that at the moment there's one civilization that's in the,
Tossing sticky grenade!
and I think
Taking a
that's
fire!
important.
Smoke
It goes back to what I was saying at the start about the astronomy and cosmology being part of the framework within which you have to think. You're looking for meanings, or you're looking at how we should behave politically. You know, that has a bearing. I mean, imagine that we're the only place where there is intelligence in this galaxy. And how should we behave? Should we actually, notwithstanding the fact that we're tiny, fragile things and insignificant physically, should we consider ourselves extremely valuable in that respect? Because there's nowhere else where, you know, I would go as far as to say there would be nowhere else where
Amateur shit!
because meaning is one of those things that scientists don't talk about very much. Although Richard Feynman, my great hero, did talk about it. There's a quote where he says, "What is the meaning of it all?" It's a great essay called "The Value of Science." And so, what is self-evidently true is that meaning exists because it means something to us. So that's kind of an obvious statement. Your life means something to you and me, and so meaning exists. But I think it is a local and temporary phenomenon. I think it emerges. Meaning emerges from configurations of atoms, which is what we are. We are simply that. We're nothing more than that. We're very, very rare configurations. And so that means that we are, if you go all the way down that line of logic, we are the only life in the galaxy.
They
By
changed me!
meaning only to ourselves.
Yeah.
It means something to us. Because
Yeah.
we're the only ones who can grasp the concept. And we are a finite organism. We have this temporary existence while we're here. And
Enemy
to
securing
us, there
Bravo.
is meaning.
Yeah.
Setting mine!
And that's, I don't know any other way to define it.
Right.
So I'll define it like that.
Yes.
I don't think there's otherwise you have to believe there's some kind of global meaning and that's a God type thing. I don't think that's, I think it's more
Check 'em
wonderful
out!
and more challenging to us because we have to take responsibility for it, to say we should operate such that we are it. I'm sure there are other civilizations out there in the universe because there are 2 trillion galaxies. I just can't believe this hasn't happened in other places. The question is, how often does it happen and how widely spaced are the civilizations?
Requesting recon at my
And I
location!
think they're very widely spaced. And I think there may be 1 or 2 big
Tossing
ones.
sticky grenade!
But that, as you said, what you said it beautifully. What else can you think?
Right.
And what else do you want? I mean, I think what it says is you have to take responsibility for all those things, those spiritual things that you think about and the emotional things you think about. You are responsible for that. You are that, right? That whatever that is,
I'm with you.
It exists in you, and it will only exist for a short amount of time. And so, make the best of it would be my view.
It's so unbelievably compelling, though, to consider the idea that somewhere out there, there's another civilization that may be even more advanced than us, and this thought of it is just so attractive. It's incredible.
There should be. If civilization, or even slightly common,
Subtext incoming!
then there should be civilizations ahead of us, because there's been so much time. I mean, we've been around as a civilization. Let's give it, say, 40,000 years. I don't know how long that civilization's been around. Let's say that. The galaxy is pretty much as old as the universe. 30
UAV destroyed!
worth of time. So
Tossing. Oh,
the
shit.
idea that there are no civilizations arose, 100 million years ago, 200 million years ago, 1 billion years ago.
Drop one.
And imagine what they'd be like. I mean, we've been around. We've had science for, let's say, since Copernicus, 500 years at most. We've had, and look what we've done. We've gone beyond the solar system with Voyager. We've walked on the moon. We're about to go to Mars. I think. So we're about to begin colonising our own solar system. So we've done that in 500 years. So imagine a million years.
Right, I'm with you.
So it's one of the arguments often used to say there aren't any civilizations out there in the galaxy, called the Fermi paradox. Because if you imagine a civilization that's a million years ahead of us, they should have written their presence across the sky by now.
Changing mags.
So you just see them. I mean, you'll see us. If we survive a million years into the future, actually even a few thousand years into the future, we will be exploring the galaxy. We will have spacecraft that are going through the sky. So our signature will become visible, I'm sure, if we last into the medium term.
Would we choose to not do that? Here's my thought on that: is uncontacted tribes. Like, do you know about the gentleman who was the missionary who visited North Sentinel Island and was killed by the natives? North Sentinel Island, which is a really unusual place because they branched off from Africa 60,000 years ago, and they've been living on this one small island the size of Manhattan. And as well as we know, there's only